It's where you go to bike, hike, and stroll miles of pathways over more than 7,000 acres of parkland. A place to go explore rivers and fish their bountiful waters. Natural places to go marvel at magnificent wildlife while you play outdoors and go wander charming communities. Find all this and more at Destination Downriver. Give it a go.
Today's podcast is presented by MarketInsights.us, with the podcast on YouTube produced by the City of Taylor's Media Center. Thank you for the generous support of our community sponsor. When your destination is beyond downriver, let Martinson Family of Funeral Homes help you and your family. With locations in Trenton, Allen Park, Mabee, Rockwood, and Monroe, their staff is available 24/7 at 734-671-5400. For more information, visit martinson.com.
Thank you to our team sponsor, Allegra, Marketing, Print, and Design. Let Allegra assist you with your print, mail, design, and signs. Located in Wyandotte, Michigan, or call 734-284-5330.
Welcome to Destination Downriver. I'm your host, Karl Ziomek. Last year, we did an episode on entrepreneurs and startup businesses downriver. We noted hundreds of new businesses in the region during a 12-month period as we emerged from the pandemic. This year, we wanted to revisit that topic. What makes downriver such a healthy spot for new businesses? Small businesses serve residents while helping define the character of our towns and attract visitors. Organizations like the Southern Wayne County Chamber of Commerce or the Downriver Community Conference sponsor programs and seminars to foster small business and startups. Communities like Romulus have created incubators that help business leaders sharpen their ideas and launch their efforts. These resources all help businesses to scale quickly and position startups to succeed. Downriver has been described as one big community rather than a collection of small towns. That can help make small business resources a collaborative ecosystem because, 1, everyone wants you to succeed here, 2, everyone is willing to help, and 3, everyone knows everyone. Small business owners support each other and refer talent to one another and care about the region's success. Up next, our panel, led by Southern Wayne County Chamber President and CEO Ron Hinrichs. Joining Ron are Jazmine Danci, Economic Development Administrator for the DCC, Darryl Folks, Small Business Coordinator for the DCC, and Kevin Krause, Director of Community Safety and Development for the City of Romulus. We'll return in a moment as Destination Downriver continues.
Thanks, Karl. This is Ron Hinrichs, President of the Southern Wayne County Regional Chamber, and I want to welcome my guests today. As Karl mentioned, we have Darryl Folks and Jazmine Danci with the Downriver Community Conference and Kevin Krause with the City of Romulus. And Karl gave a great introduction of all three of you, so we're going to go ahead and dive right into this conversation because we have a great conversation about a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is small business resources, entrepreneurship, and how the entire Downriver region comes together as one united community to really help our small businesses thrive throughout the entire region. And as we've actually discussed this, I think in a previous podcast about the initiative of the Downriver Community Conference along the riverfront. And Darryl and Jazmine have really been doing a stand-up job, a phenomenal job as a matter of fact, in really helping to drive economic development along the riverfront in those 5 communities, which include River Rouge, Ecorse, Wyandotte, Riverview, and Trenton. I got them all. I got them all. Yep. And also Darryl's role in helping small businesses and providing critical resources to ensure that small businesses are not just surviving in the challenging times that we're facing right now, and again, not just as a community, but an entire nation, but thriving. And those resources are very, very important and really making a big difference in the community. So we're going to dive into some of those today. We're going to talk with Jazmine and Darryl first, and then we're going to jump over to the city of Romulus on the western side of our region and talk with Kevin about some of the great things that are happening in Romulus, like the NEST program and many other things. So we'll start with you first, Jazmine. You are the Economic Development Administrator with the Downriver Community Conference. So first off, I know we talked about this in the previous podcast, but can you just give us a very short recap of what your role is and what the overall program is looking to do for our region?
Yeah, definitely. So thanks for having us here today too, Ron. It's a great platform. We're happy to be here. But so the DCC received an Economic Development Administration grant in 2022. And so that was for $1.6 million over the course of 3 years. So that grant actually has three main goals. The first is to establish an economic development office for the region, and that's kind of how my role came to be. And then the second goal is to do an industrial and brownfield site survey and kind of a plan for redevelopment of those sites. And then the third goal is small business technical assistance and creating a program around that, as well as some grants. So that's kind of the three main goals, and we're just over a year into our completion. We'll be moving through this over the next little less than 2 years now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And you're making a lot of progress. And we've been
to,
seeing the stories
yeah.
in the news, and Channel 4 just recently did a story on the city of Trenton, what's happening in the city of Trenton.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of great traction.
Yeah. So what's your strategy in terms of engaging the media? Because you've done a great job. I've seen, like I mentioned, I've seen articles and then the Channel 4 story. And we had a big story in Channel 4 last year with Christy McDonald. So what's been the strategy of the DCC in terms of promoting what's happening in Downriver to the Metro Detroit region?
Well, when you look at the strategic planning that we did with those 5 riverfront communities that you mentioned, we actually have 5 main pillars for our strategy plan. And so, there's things like small business development, large business, large industry attraction, workforce development, quality of place. But the 5th pillar is marketing the region across all 4 of those priorities. So we heard that loud and clear from our stakeholders that they really wanted to make a bigger push and put a better highlight on their corridor area and all of Downriver as well. So that's what we've been trying to do. And with our office, we have a little bit more capacity now with the being in place actually to start trying to do more press releases, write more articles, and we've got some consultants in place to help us with some of that as well for some of the specific goals that we're working on.
And you mentioned stakeholders. So the work of this grant program in your office specifically is really being driven with the guidance of stakeholders and a really significant group of stakeholders in the region that meet on a regular basis. Can you talk a little bit about who makes up that advisory group and how they're guiding the work of the DCC in this program?
Yeah, and also really want to recognize Ron. You and the Southern Wayne Chamber have been, so crucial in this whole initiative since the very beginning. So we're happy to have your partnership.
Oh, thanks. Yep.
Yes. So we have kind of 2 main groups that help advise our department and the progress of this grant. And so the first is the Riverfront Strategy Team. So that includes a representative or 2 from each of the 5 communities, but also regional and other local organizations. So we've got big groups like SEMCOG and MEDC involved, but then we also have some more local groups like the Just Transition group out of River Rouge and the Sierra Club. So we've worked really hard to be diverse and representative of the whole corridor. So there's about 30 members in that group, and we meet every 6 months. And then so another group that also helps work with us is the Downriver Business Leaders Advisory Council, and so that group meets on a quarterly basis. And they are comprised of about 15 to 20 key business leaders. And so we are trying our best to be responsive to both groups, and both are in place to help advise us in our efforts and how to create economic development for the region and be responsive to new trends. So they're advising us, and we're informing them of our progress on a very regular basis.
Yeah, that's great. And a lot of the big key focuses of the program as well is ensuring that not only that small businesses are surviving and thriving in the region, but also that our local municipalities have a strong tax base.
Yes.
Because that's very important for municipal services and attracting talent and entrepreneurship to the region. And when you think about some of the big projects along the riverfront, McLeod Steel is a huge opportunity for future development, and again, contributing to the local tax base. The DTE coal-fired power plants that have retired are, big opportunities for us. Eastman Chemical, Mill Street, and Ecorse, and Arkema, and those goes on and on. So how is the DCC focusing on number one, making those properties redevelopment ready, and then eventually down the road marketing those to potential developers and employers?
Yeah. So that kind of hits on the second goal of the grant that I mentioned, the redevelopment strategy of those brownfield sites. So right now we're working with a consultant, and they're helping us through the process, but we have work groups established in each of the 5 communities. So there's a group of residents and community leaders and city employees that are meeting on a regular basis to help steer this whole process with the consultant. So, but what we're doing is we've talked with these stakeholders. We've had really robust public meetings. Last month in January, we had 2 public meetings that were very well attended and had a great response from the public, so we were really encouraged by that. And what we're doing, the first phase that we're in right now is really the data gathering, and that's what we presented at those January public meetings, is starting to think outside of the boundaries of just each individual city and thinking more as a corridor, a 5-city corridor. So that's taking each of the 5 cities' different plans, and not just the master plans, but they have some corridor plans, some DDA plans, and kind of piecing those all together and seeing what that looks like on a larger level. So we kind of did some of that analysis, as well as looked into some key focus area sites in each of the cities for redevelopment, including many of those that you mentioned. And then what we're doing is taking the wishes of the community and the real life circumstances on these sites that may or may not be conducive to certain types of development.
Sure. Yeah.
And trying to level set and create this middle ground where we think both parties could be happy, the citizens, the cities, the residents, and the property owners, for really a greater good for the whole region.
Yeah, and that's really it, the greater good for the whole region.
Yeah.
And so, Jazmine, you mentioned you had 2 public listening sessions, I guess you can say, information sessions.
Yeah.
And I know, Darryl, you were there, and Tim Keys and many other leaders were there and a part of it. The first one happened, I believe, in Ecorse.
Yep.
And then the second one was in
Riverview.
Riverview. I'm sorry, Riverview. Can you maybe dive into some of the things that you heard from the public, like some ideas that were brought to the table, and very curious about that.
Yeah, I was curious too. When we were there at those meetings, first of all, it was a great turnout, better than we expected. And that was part of what Christy McDonald was helping us promote on Channel 4. So we were happy to have her, helping push the word out, because we wanted participation not just from residents in the 5 cities, but anyone from the region. Not just if you live here, but if you work here, if you have family in the area, we're all invested in the future of the riverfront.
Right, and I think it's important just to interject for a moment that we're talking about 5 riverfront communities, and people might say, well, there's more than 5 riverfront communities, like Roseville and Gibraltar and Brownstown. But this grant is really focused around the DTE coal-fired power plants that have retired and certain other properties, but there is the hope that there's 18 downriver communities that this could eventually expand, and your office specifically could serve the entire region at some point.
Yes, thank you for clarifying that. That was how we qualified for this grant, was because of the 2 closed DTE power plants. So that's kind of how we created this bookend effect with the 5 communities in the middle. So, but it does. The work that we're doing is going to affect everyone around us. So as far as the public meetings go, though, we had just about 100 people attend between the 2 days. And just the general response from people attending was they were excited, they were encouraged, they were really engaged. I think all of us, really want to see something happen on these sites that sometimes have been vacant for generations. So there's a lot of anticipation around, what's going to be happening. But but the attitudes were positive. They had the opportunity to provide surveys. Everyone got a chance to provide a full survey at the end of attending, but they also got to do sticky notes and kind of the dot exercises where you show your preference for certain projects over another. So all of that's being analyzed right now, but some of the main things we're seeing is a big call for more retail development and creating more of like a thriving retail corridors along Jefferson. So we expected to hear that. There is a big need, especially in certain cities, for more retail and not just housing or industrial. We're looking at more mixed uses. So I think that totally is in line with what we're hoping to do. And then also really wanting to capitalize on the natural resources of the area, the riverfront, the wildlife areas, and that kind of thing. So that was kind of the two main takeaways that we've really been seeing, and no surprise.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm curious, has affordable housing come up? And because one of the things obviously we talk about is attracting talent to the region, and that's with the worker shortage crisis, with the vocational education situation that we're facing and things like that. Has there been any feedback about housing?
So not necessarily at the public meetings, but with our strategy team, it's been a huge topic. And we actually devoted this year, just this past summer when we did a refresh of our strategy plan, we created some sub-teams around key focus areas that the team wanted to focus on. And one of those was housing. And that's been probably the sub-team that's been the most active and has the most going on, So definitely that is something that we're really, really pushing for and, trying to get grants and more development in the area around not just affordable housing, but, housing with mixed-use developments and a whole variety. Housing rehab is another big topic. That's been really, really something that we're hearing a lot. That in Downriver we've got an older housing stock, so a lot of these communities have houses that are in need of work. So we're wanting to do that in a sustainable way.
Yeah, and there's obviously right now the big news is we're talking about the DTE Trenton Channel power plant that's demolition's going to begin on March 1st, and you talked about recreational and environmental opportunities, and DT announced that I believe there's going to be a river walk along that property that's going to be built. So exciting times, and you guys are doing some great work. I want to kind of switch over to Darryl for a couple of minutes and talk about your part of this project, and it's focusing on small business resources and technical assistance. And Darryl, you've been doing a phenomenal job. I saw you on a webinar the other day, and a lot of great things that you're doing. But one of the things that you've been focusing on recently is a round of small business grants that have helped. We just had a luncheon a couple weeks ago at Arnoldo's in Riverview where you celebrated the recipients this year. Yes. And a lot of those small businesses have been around for many, many years. They've played a big role in the community, like Elliott's Bakery, for example. But there's also some newer businesses that have qualified for that program as well. Absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about that grant program specifically? How did businesses qualify, and what can they use those funds towards?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks for having me here as well. So it was a great program. It was a great program, small business technical assistance program. We partnered with we had U of M. The Economic Growth Institute with us as well. A great team. The one way the business, it was a few ways that the business had to qualify. Things they had to do such as submit their tax information. They had to obviously be in business, and one of the biggest things was making sure that they were there not just to receive the money and then obviously close down, but we want to make sure that there were sustainable businesses. Yeah.
Well, there was a matching component to it.
It was a match,
as well.
So the grant was $10,000. Yep. The matching piece was roughly 20%. Okay. So for instance, if you were to qualify for the $10,000, it would be $2,500 roughly.
Yep. So skin in the game.
Correct.
Yep, and that's reasonable. Yep.
Absolutely. Which is, but that whole amount goes back to the actual project itself. Yeah. So it wasn't, put it in and you actually lose that money. You were actually getting credit for that money as well within the project. So it was a great opportunity for the businesses. We did roughly 3 from each city. That a total of 15 businesses total. They all received roughly $10,000 in actual project money, where they were getting websites, tons of technical assistance, websites, ordering platforms, photo shoots. It was a number of things, and it was a great win for the Downriver community.
Yeah, and I've seen some of the websites that have been launched. They're beautiful, and then videos.
Yes.
So I mentioned Elliot's Bakery just a minute ago.
Yes.
You guys produced a video for them. I know you're doing other videos as well, but
Correct.
when we launched that or released that video on social media, I think it's nearing 100,000
Yes.
views, and
It was
maybe
huge.
even more than 100,000 views. I mean, think about the impact that has not only on a small business, but the entire community.
The community.
I mean, bringing people to downtown Trenton in this case.
Absolutely.
To visit that business, but explore the entire downtown. I mean, this is real economic development in action.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes.
Great job.
Thank you.
So in addition to the grant, the grant obviously was a big deal. It got a lot of attention. A lot of businesses are really benefiting from that grant now. And just a side note, I received a lot of feedback from members of the chamber that received that grant, and they are over the top thrilled with the impact.
Great.
We're happy to hear that.
Yeah, that grant has had on their business specifically.
Absolutely.
But what other things? You're the small business coordinator. You're in charge of the small business technical assistance aspect of the program. So what other things are you looking to do with this program specifically in your department?
Absolutely. One of the biggest things that we survey, and just having our strategy team, because we have a strategy team as well, with business owners and local business leaders as well.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things is marketing.
Okay.
So what we're looking to do from that perspective as well is actually build our database, because we look at DCC, we look at ourselves as kind of like the centralized, trusted connector. To be able to bring everyone together. So you have your resources, and then you have your businesses within the community. But we look at ourselves at DCC as that connecting piece to be able to funnel that information out so they can have access to that information directly, and access to the people who's in place at those different organizations, our partners, which we have some great partners that we've been working with. Again, SBDC, they've been working with us as well. Group NEI, they've been working with us as well, and they're a part of our strategy team. So it helps because they're a part of the strategy team that can hear from the businesses firsthand, and then we can again disseminate the information directly to the businesses.
Yeah, that's great, Darryl. And then the assistance that you're providing at the DCC, is this one of the questions that I think would be beneficial for people that are listening?
Yes.
Is this available only to existing businesses, or are you looking to help startups, entrepreneurs that are looking to start a business in the Downriver area?
No, it's for all. It's for all. Obviously, we want to help build our existing businesses, but we're also helping new startups as well. Again, it's important because that's the only way we're going to grow. There's so much opportunity within the Downriver community, and we just want to be able to have those resources available. So it's tough running a business. So if this is one less thing that you have to think about from a resource perspective that we can provide with you, hey, and we can shorten that curve down. It might take 3 years to normally learn whether it's capital or anything of that nature, but we can shorten it down to a year and a half, just to make that path straight, simple, and streamlined for you. It makes it a lot easier for business because, again, small business is a tough industry.
Yeah, and you mentioned the whole marketing piece of all this, and obviously that's really important because we have a great system program in place with you and Jazmine and the team at the DCC.
Yes.
But when it comes to marketing, that's obviously a near and dear to the heart of Destination Downriver and the Southern Wayne County Chamber, of course,
Absolutely.
too. But it's about attracting talent to the region, attracting entrepreneurship, attracting employers. And so you guys are playing a really big role in that. And, it's exciting to hear that marketing is such a big focus in addition to, establishing the assistance and the resources that businesses need, to develop in this region. So we have a good picture now of the program. What do you guys, Darryl, you're a leader in the city of River Rouge. You're a community leader, and not only in the region. And of course, Jazmine, you have a lot of experience in municipal government, the city of Romulus, and you're a leader in the region. What do you guys see? What the results could be and the benefit will be from this program? Say 5 years down the road. What does Downriver and specifically the riverfront look like in your minds in 5 years?
Oh gosh, so it's really exciting.
It is.
Yeah, so it's fun because we all know economic development we're not working on projects that are going to happen tomorrow. You know, it is going to take time. So I have confidence in the definitely next 10 years that we are going to start to see progress on some of these larger sites. But it's also, you know, with Darryl's help, and maybe he'll touch on this too, but I really see kind of some more infill development in our, you know, in our actual corridors, you know, making them a little bit more dense with housing and commercial development. I think that's going to be exciting, and I also hope to see a couple of larger, like, public infrastructure projects happening. You know, our department has been really working hard on funding and grant applications for these large regional projects. You know, Ecorse Creek, Jefferson Ave reconstruction, that kind of stuff. So I am hoping, and I think in our 5 to 10 year vision, that some of those projects would definitely be viable.
How about you, Darryl? And feel free to even talk a little bit about the city of River Rouge, which is a big part of the picture.
Right.
What does the future look like, you know, for your community and for the riverfront communities?
Absolutely. So I'll start with the community as a whole. I would say is so much opportunity there that we're excited. We're drawing more attention to the downriver communities, which brings eyes, which brings people. And not only that, with my department, it's actually more so of, so we have the long-term vision, but we're kind of focused on that short-term vision. So 2 to 3 years, because if you don't make it those 2 to 3 years, the 10 years doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So to be able to provide that direct assistance, you know, you're gonna be able to take. If you've been in business for 10 years and you don't have a website, we want to be able to help you with that. Because
And
that's
so
how
many
people
small
discover
businesses
you.
don't,
Right.
or they have an outdated website and they
Right.
don't realize the negative
Absolutely.
impact that has on business.
Yeah, or even e-commerce. So
Yeah.
I mean, if there's not people here, we want to help you provide the opportunity to be able to grow your business. So if you can do online sales, we can provide that platform for you for there, which we have help with that technical assistance program to provide that as well. So a business like a Kevin James, now she can actually provide sales online, which is huge for a small business.
That's big. And she's doing a great job, Kevin James Menswear at West Road and Trent.
Yes. Phenomenal.
You know,
Phenomenal.
Jessica Bosner is just amazing.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And Ron, just real quick too, about Darryl's intake process that he's developing right now. You know, we expect to hear from businesses, you know, that are at very different stages in their progress. You know, like you mentioned, startups or entrepreneurs, inventors. If they're in the very beginning stages, we have a different set of recommendations for them versus someone that's been around a long time and they're looking to get to know the community. Maybe they're a better fit, you know, to send over to the chamber. So that's what Darryl's developing, is kind of like a roadmap of resources based on their needs. So
that's awesome.
You know, like he said, we're the trusted connector. We hope to be a one-stop shop to point them in the right direction and shorten their trajectory, like you said.
Yeah, that's great. And I want to jump over to Romulus, but before we do, how do we get in touch? How do businesses get in touch with you guys?
Oh, sure. I mean, the easiest way to reach us via email is just economicdevelopment@dccwf.org.
Okay.
But we're at the Downriver Community Conference. We're open for office hours if you want to make an appointment. Darryl has been meeting with a ton of people, trying, you know, getting them the resources that they need. So we're always open to that.
And I see you guys out in the community all the time. So that's
All the time.
you're available. You're there.
At a number of your events as well. So
I saw you last night, Darryl, and I saw Jazmine 2 days ago. So see you guys all the time.
Absolutely.
So the other, obviously, Romulus is a huge part of the overall picture of the Downriver region. And Destination Downriver, we want to focus on the western part of our region now, and talk about the boom of economic development that continues to take place in the city of Romulus. We have Kevin Krause with us. And Kevin, you've had several different roles with the city of Romulus. I think you were fire chief. And are you still fire chief?
Still am, temporarily,
And then safety and community and economic development director. So real quick, tell us a little bit about your storied career and your partnership in the city of Romulus.
Yeah, so fortunately, was hired on very early in the fire department when they were making transition from a paid-on-call department to a full-time department, and worked my way up through the ranks there to deputy chief, and then eventually chief, and then director of community safety and development now. So as our new mayor took on his role approximately 2 years ago, he was in the role of economic development, and actually took the place when Jazz left and went over to DCC. So he sat in that role, and he had that role to fill, and then also the building official role to fill. And the building official role he was able to fill. We got Jeff Kemp over there now. He's doing a great job filling that role. And he was struggling with the economic development portion, and we kind of had a conversation, and I just told him, I said, hey, if you need some help, let me know. I've got 20 years of relationships with all the businesses, from doing inspections and being out in the community and events, and unfortunately sometimes tragic events or fires or stuff in the community. And he said, yeah, I never really thought of it in that aspect or in that dimension, and let's give it a try. So a little over a year ago, we made the transition. I hired a deputy chief over at the fire department to run operations, and I'm hoping in the near future, once he's kind of got everything on solid surface and he's comfortable in his role, I'll pass that off and move on and focus exclusively on development. But that's kind of how it transitioned, and wore a lot of different hats. But my entire adult career I've worked in Romulus, and it's it's been a blessing. It's been a great community to work in, and become a family, and has been very good to my family. So I love the opportunity to give back.
Yep. You have a great mayor, by the way. Ron McCray.
Good
he
guy.
is dynamic. Oh my gosh. He's full of energy and just doing a phenomenal job in Romulus. Romulus is always, has had great leadership for many, many years, and appreciate you, Kevin, and everything that you're doing in our region. So we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
But before we jump into the economic development, there's two things I want to touch on real quick with you.
Sure.
With Romulus. Big news. Number one, the NFL draft is coming to the city of Detroit. And the Chamber, we're hosting a big NFL draft forum here in a couple of days. But the city of Romulus just announced that you have a big event in partnership with the NFL draft coming to the Romulus Athletic Center. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we're really excited. So they're, partnership with Visit Detroit and Detroit Sports Bureau. They have picked 3 locations outside of Detroit, one in Wayne County, one in Oakland County, and one in Macomb County. And Romulus was chosen as the site in Wayne County outside of Detroit.
Of course it would be.
It was great. We love it. Great location, centrally located along 275 and I-94 corridors.
Yep.
So easy access. We have a wonderful facility with the Romulus Athletic Center.
Yeah.
So this really is kind of a introduction to the NFL draft to kids, families. It's a family-friendly event. We're going to have kind of our bounce houses there, and we call them quarterback challenge, or quarterback challenge, running back challenges, where they're obstacle courses and throwing things. We're going to have face painting and airbrushing, and a live DJ playing music, the rock climbing wall for a number of different prizes and events. Selfie stations. We have the Detroit Lions cheerleaders coming out. Rory, the mascot's coming out.
Cool.
So it's going to be a great event. It's Saturday, April 6th. It starts at 1 o'clock. We have a sports talk radio show that's going to kick it off a little bit earlier at noon. And as people are lining up, trying to really kind of just sports trivia and stuff and give away prizes. So we're excited. It'll run till about 5 o'clock, and it's going to be a good day.
So do you have to register to attend, and is there a website?
Yeah, no website or no registration. You can show up the day of.
Okay.
There'll be a waiver and a registration when you get there. You'll get entered into the facility, and then it'll be kind of an open day for the facility, and a great opportunity for people, if you've never been to the RAC, to come and look at it. It's a wonderful facility and kind of a hidden gem in Western Wayne County.
Yeah, the RAC is beautiful, and just talk about that for a minute, because it is a gem in our region and in Southern Wayne County. I did my son's birthday party there one year.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful facility. You've recently did some significant investments into the RAC. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Again, great facility, but coming up on kind of end of life on a lot of things that were original investments in that facility.
Yep.
So some of the big infrastructure stuff that we've done, we just replaced the entire roof on the facility within the last year.
That's a major project.
Big project, yeah.
That's a
So
big building.
we got that taken care of. We converted all the lights into the facility to LED lights in conjunction with Jack LED and DTE, and took advantage of their their savings programs. We've just recently, our TIFA board has just recently approved a solar field to be installed. And we're taking advantage of the Inflation Reduction Act and really been able to capitalize on those federal incentives that are being offered for that. Resurfacing of the gym floor, new partition in the gym, curtain that comes down, partitions the gym off. All new workout equipment, workout floor areas all replaced with new rubber flooring, all new TVs throughout. We're working on the sound system and Wi-Fi so people can connect to a kind of like an app as you come into the facility. Major improvements in the pool area, and now we're working kind of on the HVAC system. So there's a lot of end-of-life stuff with the HVAC, and there's going to be some more bigger investment there. Outside, we have Opportunity Park, which is a small little walking area outside. We've partnered with Wayne County on a Kaboom grant there and have been able to add some decals on the walking trail.
Wow.
Some small little like kind of stations, informational stations.
Yeah.
And then some playscapes for the kids as their parents are walking to be able to kind of hop from playscape to playscape, and cleared out a whole area of kind of overgrowth tree area that we're going to continue to work on this summer and this spring, and kind of backfill with some clean soil, plant grass seed to make it a more park-like setting.
That's amazing, Kevin. This is what Destination Downriver is all about, getting this information out, because that's a destination. And it's right next to the airport, which is a lot of fun, especially for the kids. You watch the airplanes come and go. But where is it? Can you tell us for our viewers and listeners, where is the Romulus Athletic Center located?
So it's right at the corner of North Line Road and Vining Road, and you can't miss it. Large, kind of atrium on one side and industrial like outside on the other. But part of that LED, if you drive by there in the morning or at night, it's lit up beautifully. Beautiful landscape outside, and it's a great location. And to tie in, I'm just going to kind of put a little plug in here to tie into the airport, right?
Yes.
One of the things that we're working on with Airspace Link is drones. And we're hoping to identify Opportunity Park as a drone park also in the near future.
Oh, that's exciting. And then, by the way, the rack has amazing food. Because you got Norman's.
Got a great
Cafe.
caterer in there with Norman's.
Leilani and Aishan, Norman.
Aishan,
They do a phenomenal job. Actually, as a matter of fact, Leilani was just voted onto our board of directors last night at the chamber.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the food's amazing. You got to go there, and I just love their cooking.
Yeah,
so,
you don't have to be a member to come in for lunch. So you can.
That's right.
You can come in and enjoy lunch.
That's right. So let's dive into some of the economic development and business developments taking place in Romulus, because there's a lot. So one of the things, I'm just going to go over a couple of things real quick, and then I'm going to ask for your comments, Kevin, is evolving around the Romulus Trade Center. So the fruits of your labor really rang true in last September when the Romulus Trade Center was teed up to bring $130 million of investment, including 500 full-time jobs, 750 to 1,000 construction jobs, and 2 million square feet of industrial and retail space to your community, not just your community, but the Downriver region and Southern Wayne County region. So how has this startup process been going since that huge breakthrough announcement in the city of Romulus?
Yeah, so I really want to kind of go back. Like that's not just the last year I've been in place, right? This goes back to when Jazz was in economic development in the city of Romulus. This was a 4-year project, right? It spanned multiple different administrations and directors as well. So, but it's they've broken ground. They have 3 large light industrial, light manufacturing buildings up. So they're about halfway done with those. So we're about 1.3 million square feet of ready space. And then also from a commercial kind of perspective along the Wick Road corridor, all that retail commercial development we're looking at putting along there. We have some really good stuff. Last Monday, Sheetz gas station, which the first one in Michigan, broke ground. So we finished all the planning.
That's
they have
big news.
They have all of their permitting now, and they broke ground last Monday.
Well, if you ever go to the Pennsylvania, a place like that.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And there's one coming to Taylor, I believe, too.
I don't know about Taylor. So I know there's 3 coming to Michigan. Romulus has 2 of them. So there's another location as well that they're getting ready to break ground as well. So we're really excited about that, kind of first in the area, first in Michigan. So it's exciting to have Romulus be part of attracting some of those new names to the state of Michigan, right?
Yes.
Right next to Sheetz, just directly to the east, we are going to have a Tesla mega charging station. So So that'll be one of the first ones in the area that is this large. It's going to be between 40 and 60 charging stations. They'll have solar canopies that go over for shade for the vehicles when they're parked.
Wow.
They have some other amenities there, kind of outside seating, picnic area, so you can, park, charge your car, walk next door, get some food from Sheetz, sit down, wait. Type 3 chargers, so like 20, 30-minute charges on these. And that's going to kind of partner with the State of Michigan project that's coming across I-94 connecting Detroit and Ann Arbor with the dedicated EV lane, right? So Romulus kind of has this unique, situation in Western Wayne County and also downriver where we partner with both of those conferences. And we have the geographical advantage of that being right at 275 and 94 and sitting directly in the middle, halfway between Detroit and Ann Arbor.
Yeah, Romulus is truly the city of the future, and you talk about all these different developments, and we'll get into some more things too that really paints the picture of Romulus being a forward-thinking community. But you bring up an interesting point, and it's kind of something that maybe we joke and laugh about. Is Romulus considered a downriver community? and it is. It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It's Western Wayne County. It's also downriver, and it's one of those unique communities like Huron Township, where you guys remember the Downriver Community Conference and the conference at Western Wayne.
Yeah.
But I think there was something recently on Facebook that you commented on that people were asking, is Romulus really in downriver? And it is. It's one of the biggest communities downriver, and it plays such a big role in the downriver region as a whole. So big things happening. And can you say one more time? The Sheetz and the Tesla charging station, which is major developments, where are those going to be located?
So that's right at the corner of Wick and Vining. So it's right
Wick
in
and
front of that,
Gotcha.
in front of the large industrial district that's being developed over there. So it's good. It's interesting. We're excited. We have some other stuff that's under NDAs that I can't really talk about today, but along that corridor, we have quite a few other things that have already signed purchase agreements, and we'll be able to announce hopefully in the near future. And I want to touch one of the things you said. With Romulus being located where we are, and we are unique because we identify with both Western Wayne and downriver, but the jurisdictional boundaries is something that people put on maps, right? All of these larger projects that we're seeing, in the downriver area in Western Wayne, whether it's environmental, whether it's the drains, whether it, the natural geographic, kind of characteristics and problems that we deal with or that we're trying to solve, there are no boundaries with those, and that's so important because DCC is really looking at things from a regional perspective, and that's the push that we've been doing here in Romulus as well. The B2B was all about regional, economic development, and we know that if we land a big site like the North Point development, it's 2.2 million square feet. We know that not all of those people are going to live in Romulus. They're going to live in the surrounding communities. They're going to play in the surrounding communities and recreate and travel through and whatnot. So we've really kind of taken that approach and kind of started erasing those boundaries and pushing everything out and just really trying to partner and getting away from the old school line of thinking that we got to keep it all to ourselves and keep it within our boundaries.
Exactly. That's such a good point, Kevin, because employers in Romulus are employing residents of Southgate and Taylor and Westland and
absolutely.
Huron Township and all over the entire region. These are regional employers, which is why it's so important that I think we talk for a minute about Aerotropolis.
Yes.
And Aerotropolis, I always like to give Chris Girdwood and Aerotropolis a big shout out because they are playing a big role in attracting developers and regional employers to Romulus, to Huron Township, to Van Buren Township, to a couple of other communities that are in that footprint, Taylor and others that are in that footprint as well. How does your partnership with Aerotropolis fit into the picture of these new developments that are taking place?
Big shout out to Chris Girdwood. He's just such an asset to the entire region. His coordination between all the groups across multiple counties, multiple cities, all the way to the state and federal level as well. He partners, he helps, he assists, he makes the connections, he networks, he's promoting this area every opportunity he has, and it's been a huge value to all of the municipalities and counties that participate in Aerotropolis. One thing that I will discuss is we are currently working on an LDFA program, a funding program across our E-Course Road corridor. We looked at it across 3 cities, City of Taylor, City of Romulus, City of Van Buren, or Van Buren Township.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but for those who are listening, LDFA, Local Development Finance Authority.
Yep, correct. Yeah,
Okay.
correct. Yep. So, E-Course Road really is growing and will continue to grow. And we have to, we've heard very clearly from our boards and our commissions and our citizen base that that they want to see improvements. They want to see some relief from the traffic and from the congestion that's occurring because of that. So we're looking very hard at that area. All three communities have different challenges. When you go through E-Course and Taylor, it's multi-lane. You get to Romulus, it chokes down to 2 lanes. So from Romulus's perspective, we're really going to look at widening E-Course Road to 3 lanes, looking at the sewer, the drainage, the water, the elevation. We're looking at enhancements and facilities at each of the major intersections, flare lanes, turn lanes, crosswalks, all of those things, make the intersection safer. We have a high propensity of some serious accidents because of the amount of traffic that goes to and from the airport on some of those intersections, coming down Middle Belt and Merriman, getting to the airport. So we really want to make sure we're implementing some best practices as it pertains to safety in those areas. But we're going to look at it from E-Course all the way to Hannon, all the way across Romulus. There's multiple, in different areas, there's different challenges. Sometimes it's water and drainage, sometimes it's just traffic and being able to hold the capacity. So that's kind of a big project that Chris has been working on us with as well for Metropolis. And again, regionally, it'll span across 3 communities.
Yep, very good.
Yeah.
And I know that we can go on and on forever, about what's happening. There's been infrastructure improvements and all kinds of things that have taken place in that area. But as we kind of wrap up today, one of my favorite things to talk about, again, going back to small business resources, is the NEST program, New Entrepreneur Success Training.
Correct.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is a big program. I know that Mary Colburn was a big part of that, a couple years ago, and I actually just met with Mary the other day, and we were talking about the success of the NEST program under your leadership. Can you tell us what NEST is, where it's located, how entrepreneurs can benefit from that program?
Yeah, so you kind of shared the acronym, New Entrepreneurial Success Training Center. It is co-located with the Romulus Chamber of Commerce in a building at Shook and Bibbins. And really, we developed this program to start. We saw a gap. It's the same gap that DCC saw, right? And these kind of started kind of occurring simultaneously in the area. You saw Detroit receiving a lot of funds for small business initiatives and entrepreneurship. You saw the Ann Arbor area doing the same, but there's this big breadth in between of what's happening, right?
Right.
And there was a lot of small business, mom and pop businesses, small businesses that have less than 10 employees that really didn't see a whole lot of help with COVID money or ARPA money, and they struggled, and they continue to struggle. So this particular program was to take businesses that were maybe inception businesses that are working out of their garage or their basement or their homes, or businesses that maybe did have brick and mortar, but they were just getting started when COVID hit, and they really struggled, or maybe they didn't keep their doors open, but they're trying to reopen, and really kind of give them a support network and give them some training that they may not have been able to get prior to COVID hitting, and get them to the point where they could be sustainable and they could grow and they could be successful. So we wrote the program, and we wrote a community projects program under Rashida Tlaib for one of her congressional kind of projects prior to the redistricting and us losing her as one of our representatives. And luckily we were awarded that. But while we were waiting for that, for that award, we were really anxious to get started. So we went to our Downtown Development Authority and said, hey, we want to partner with somebody that's going to bring the technical assistance to these small businesses. And we partnered with Best Business Solutions and Laura Sigmund. And she kind of powers our nest, and she works with those small businesses. And we took on our first cohort of businesses, which were about 12 businesses. They went through a 10-week training program, and that varied from anything from marketing to how to set up your business, how to structure it, how to create your capital stack for developing your business. Writing your business plan, accounting and bookkeeping, and you name it, it went through that. And then when they graduated, they were offered an opportunity to kind of show their wares in like a pop-up shop opportunity. Unfortunately, we were hit with one of the storms that weekend that they were doing their pop-up shop.
Oh, geez.
So we pivoted that, and we were able to incorporate them into our Pumpkin Fest a couple weeks later.
Wow.
So they were still able to get out there and probably had better exposure, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
But they were able to get out there, show their wares, show their goods, and really kind of market test what they learned. So that was good. Then we were awarded the grant during that period or that year mark. So now we're in the process of investing about $100,000 into the building. It's going to have access control. It's going to have full security. It's going to have conference rooms that are built out with video conferencing. So we'll have 2 conference rooms available for any business to utilize and rent in the area. We'll continue. Laura's situated in that building as well, and we'll continue to run more programs. What we have done right now is we felt that we've touched most of the small businesses in Romulus. So we're reaching out with a survey through Laura right now to branch out to other businesses and really.
And Laura, just again, is the state's licensing and regulatory affairs.
No. So Laura Sigmund is the consultant that,
gotcha.
that works for
it's an actual individual.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. No, she's been great.
We're still going with acronyms.
Yeah, no. She's been a great resource, a great partner, and continues to power our nest as that consultant and business consultant for us. So
excellent.
And one thing I want to touch on too, real quick, we talked about the grants that DCC is doing. So part of that small business initiative in Romulus and that earmark from Representative Tlaib was that we had set aside $100,000 for grants as well for small business. So we just started rolling those grants out. We had our first round. $10,000. There is no matching on our grant, but it's geared towards recovery, sustainability, and growth for small businesses. And it truly is small business, brick and mortar, less than 20 employees in the city of Romulus.
These are grants, not loans.
These are grants, not loans. Correct.
That's
up to $10,000. They just went through their first round of evaluations, and we're hoping within the next week to be announcing the first round recipients, and then we'll be setting the dates for round 2.
Yep.
So yeah, we're really excited.
Is that specific to Romulus businesses?
Those are specific to Romulus. They have to be Romulus businesses, and you have to have brick and mortar locations. Yep.
Very good. Wow, that's exciting news.
Yeah.
So is the grant period closed, or how would a business find out more?
Yeah. So
information?
round 1 is closed.
Okay.
So they'll be making announcements, and then we'll open up the dates for round 2.
Wow.
We wanted to get a good feel of the applicants and what the needs were, and then we may grow that as well. So we're kind of taking it step by step, and we're going to look at that round 2. Should be opening up within the first week of March, probably.
Exciting.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to touch on with you, Kevin, is that Romulus has acquired vacant storefronts and enjoyed success in helping small business owners with everything from pop-up shops for events to low-cost leases that give new business owners a longer takeoff runway to get traction and get their business up and running. Can you tell us a little bit about an overview of that program that you're undertaking?
Yeah, so we had a number of different storefronts that were vacant, and this started, prior to me. We were able to fill a couple of them. One with Big Steve's Motorcycle Repair Shop.
Yeah.
That's a building right at the corner of Wayne and Goddard. He's doing pretty well in there right now. We had another small business in the downtown area along the Goddard Road corridor with the Artisan Reserve and Brian Bush, and he's been on some of the shows here on Destination Downriver.
Yep.
And he's a small batch brewery, microbrewery, and he does pretty well down there as well. And then kind of around the corner and down further towards 5 Points in Romulus, there were 2 more vacant buildings that sat for some time. Used to be an old pizza location and old party store. And the DDA had picked them up on tax reversion years ago, and we continued to house those buildings. With the earmark money, we were able to white box both of those locations. We went in, put in new HVAC, new hot water tanks. The building was on the same water meter. We separated the water meters out and created literally 2 1,600 square foot white box locations ready for new businesses. Through the NEST program and some of the businesses that went through that training, they were able to identify a business, develop a business plan, put that plan in place, and then come to the city and lease those 2 locations. So we actually were pretty fortunate because we have a pair of brothers that are in there right now. Romulus location, Romulus residents, and one of them is reopening the the pizza location, who does not only pizza but also catering and a number of other a variety of foods. And then on the other side is kind of a vendor's market, and both of those locations, one's Bubby's Pizza and the other one's Polka Dots. And the vendors market does everything from like the whiskey barrel turnings and tables and shelves to candles to kind of some of the Michigan license plate things. You name it, it's in there. But it's all crafts, and all like kind of made in Michigan and local wares and goods. So,
wow,
yeah.
Exciting news. Wow,
Yeah.
That's great. Well, I don't know how long we've been going on for, but I have a feeling that I'm about to get the shepherd's hook here. So this was an amazing conversation with the three of you. Ladies and gentlemen, these are three of the most outstanding, brilliant economic development professionals and small business supporters in the entire Downriver region. You guys are great resources for businesses and I would say people in the public that are looking to get involved in the community. So how can, just real quick, Kevin, how can we get in touch with you if we're looking to engage the city of Romulus?
Through our city website, romulusgov.com is the best way to reach out to any of our locations or look at any of our programs. You can contact the Economic Development Office, or you can go to Romulus Chamber of Commerce's site as well. And then the Nest has a website as well.
Excellent.
So I don't want to list all the numbers and emails, but those are the key locations.
Yep.
Check out the websites, Facebook sites as well, social media.
Yep.
We're all there. All the contact information is located there, and that's the best way to get a hold of us.
Awesome. And then just to recap again, Jazmine and Darryl, you can find them at the Downriver Community Conference, the Economic Development Department. So thank you to the three of you for being on the
Thank you, Ron.
Destination Downriver podcast today.
We could talk all day.
Yeah, we could. We could go on and on and on. But I will wrap it up for the sake of maybe myself, because I'm going to get pulled off here in a second. But startup ecosystems like those we've talked about in Downriver are networks of resources, people, investors, institutions, and companies that are all working together to create an environment where startups and small businesses can thrive, and no better place than the Downriver region for that. The resources and effort that form Downriver's growing ecosystem are here to help entrepreneurs and business owners overcome obstacles in their businesses and support them in making their business dreams a reality. Again, I'd like to thank Jazmine Danci and Darryl Folks from the Downriver Community Conference and Kevin Krause with the City of Romulus for joining us today on the Destination Downriver podcast to preview some of what goes into making this region such an ideal place to start and grow a business. My name is Ron Hinrichs. I'm the president of the Southern Wayne County Regional Chamber. It's been a pleasure to be with you here today, and we hope that you'll join us on next month's Destination Downriver podcast. Have a great day.
Thank you again to our sponsors, Martinson Family of Funeral Homes and Allegra Marketing, with a special thanks to our production partners here at the new Taylor Media Center. Thanks for listening and watching. Please visit our website, destinationdownriver.com, or our Facebook page, and be sure to join us for next month's podcast.